Welcome to the Bold Book of the Day with Dr. Denise Nicholson, a show that is a central hub and safe space for authors to share their stories. The Bold Book with Dr. Denise begins now.
Welcome back to the Bold Book of the Day. My name is Dr. Denise Nicholson, and this podcast is for anyone looking for inspiration. Today's guest is someone who proves that midlife is not a finish line. Please welcome Jeff Weiss to the Bold Book of the Day podcast.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to our conversation.
Me too. Thank you for your patience. You've already shown that you're a guy of patience and you understand. What is the one bold move that you would encourage every listener to make today, no matter what their age?
If they're not already exercising on a regular basis, and by that I mean multiple times per week, somewhere between 3 and 6, then they should make a commitment to themselves to begin doing that very, very soon, this week if possible, and to continue that really for the rest of their lives. It will have an impact on the quality of their life.
What made you at 48 years old, that was an already successful person or businessman, raising your children and, living your best life? What made you decide that this is the route for you?
I think a couple of things. I think first, I knew deep down that I wasn't taking my health seriously enough, that I wasn't exercising in the way that I should if I really wanted to enjoy my life and to be fit and healthy as I got older. And in my mind, I always told myself I would actually get serious about it once I had more time. Once the kids were older, once my career was more established. And when I was 48, my dad had passed away the prior year. And I kind of realized, I think between that and just approaching 50, that later was now, that there was no more responsibly putting it off into the future, that if it was really important to me, I needed to begin, and really to begin right then, and not to delay.
A lot of times we get into situations because of the circumstances that's going on. We may make drastic decisions because of what the experiences that we're having. And I believe that sometimes we needed a little jerk to move us into the right direction, because you've never ran a 10K before, and then you decided at this moment, enough was enough, and I'm gonna take, my health back and run 10K. But 10K is it's not easy to do. How did you prepare for that?
Well, I saw a notice for a running class of all things. It was a 2-month running class, the goal of which was to prepare us for the Veterans Day 10K in Washington, D.C. in November of 2010. So basically learned the very basics of running and training for a race like that. And we did all of our long runs together. Basically, virtually for any distance of racing, the training program is built around a single long run once a week. And then they had a lecture once a week to, really kind of teach us how to stay fit and how to avoid injury. And by the end of the class, they really had prepared us nicely, and did that race, was able to finish, was super excited to have done it, and decided to keep going.
Yeah, you didn't just stop there.
No. At first, I just decided to keep trying that distance and perhaps to get a bit faster.
Yeah.
So I think I did maybe another 3 or so 10Ks, and then kind of realized, look, I'll never really be fast, not at the 10K distance and probably not at other distances, but I enjoyed the races and decided to see if I could go longer. And so took on a half marathon, and to my great surprise, was able to do it, and then started to think about even longer distances. And I had once told a friend that I was as likely to run a marathon as I was to walk on the moon. But after doing the half marathon, suddenly it seemed like it could be within reach. So did that in 2012, about 2 years after that first 10K race.
Your book is called Racing Against Time. Man, that hits differently. When I read that, you know, it hit me in a way that at first I thought, racing against time, we all are going, I don't want to say it, we are fighting the inevitable. We know that we're going to pass. And so we're trying to do so much in between the time that we don't know when, and no one knows when, but we're trying to do so much and we feel like, time is limited. Do you feel like that title was to get us moving in a positive way towards our goals and things that we dream of, and not rush, but still take time to learn and live, just learn about ourselves and enjoy the moment that we're in?
I think very much so. I think really to kind of take some ownership of how we live, how we are able to kind of continue into the future. I think we have tremendous influence over the quality of our lives. We don't have complete control, of course, but I think we actually do have a lot of impact by our choices with respect to things like exercise and nutrition,
Yes.
sleep, and stress management, and all of the basics that we all really have become aware that these are important. But I think, I think it's an additional step for a lot of us to actually do something concrete to integrate that into our lives. And so yeah, I mean, I think we're all racing against time. We're all fighting the clock on a certain level. And that's okay. And we're not going to put off the inevitable. We all are going to, the story's going to end more or less not more or less, it will end the same for all of us, and that's
Yes.
fine. But it doesn't have to be the same story for all of us in terms of how our bodies change and how our capabilities become more limited. And I think if we take some ownership of our fitness and our health, we can actually be very active and very energetic and doing the things that we love with the people that we care about for quite a long time, into our 70s, 80s, and 90s. And so I think it's important for us to take that on board and really to try to make some good decisions that we'll look back on very, very in a satisfied way as we get into to those later decades.
Who were you fighting against? What were, I know it says that we're fighting against time or racing against time, but what were you racing against?
I think procrastination, very much just kind of keeping my head down, focusing on my responsibilities at work and at home, which will always be critically important. And it's not that this should come at the expense of those, but I do think there's a lot of hours in the day. I think we sometimes convince ourselves that really we are too time limited to do the things that are important, but fitness is one of those important things that I think we really ought to make time for. And perhaps there are some other things that are not so important that are crowding out our ability to do that. So yeah, I think for me, the big battle, as I think it is for a lot of us, is just procrastination. I'll get to it later. I'll get serious about it when I have more time, when my life is less crazy.
Yeah.
But ultimately, that doesn't serve us well.
What did you learn from the preparation about yourself and your mental health?
I learned that I had placed a lot of mental barriers in terms of what I could do. For example, I had always told myself I'm not a runner. And running is something that I'm just not capable of, and there are people out there who can do it, and I'm not one of them. And then I found, oh wow, I can run a 10K, and then wow, I can go and do these longer distances, and did a bunch of marathons, then started to do ultra marathons. I got involved with triathlons, went all the way to doing the Ironman triathlon twice. And all of that was a revelation for me. And of course, I think once you learn that you've been limiting yourself in one sphere, you start to reflect on maybe I've been limiting myself in other ways as well, whether in my personal relationships or in my profession. And so that was for me a wonderful discovery that life is filled with possibilities, and And we have, I think, all of us potential that perhaps we haven't really tapped. And it can be fun to start going down that road.
You said that life is filled with possibilities. And I so agree, because you have to tell yourself sometimes, motivate yourself, give yourself those positive affirmations so that you can keep going and see your possibilities and reach your highest potential. But if you know, if you limit yourself, if you tell yourself these things are not for me, like you said, running is not for me. There's some people that run and some people like me that don't. And then you find out not only can you do anything you put your mind to, you can succeed at it. And at your age, like you were well into your 40s when you started to train for that. And that's beautiful to see. And for others who have been limiting themselves, tell me, why did you want to not just do this, but then write the book?
When I first got started with running, and then later with triathlons, I read a lot of books, some instructional on how to train better, how to race better, but a lot of them were really memoirs of folks who had been down basically this road before, who had reconnected with their bodies and with their fitness, and had surprised themselves, and some of them had done really some pretty amazing things.
Yeah.
Folks like Rich Roll, Dean Karnassus, and others. And so those books really inspired me and made me think that there were things that I could do that I had never really considered before. And so my main goal was really to try to do that for others, to try to provide that kind of inspiration to other folks who may have doubted whether, can I really be a runner? Can I really do triathlons? Now, having said that, I don't intend to be an evangelist specifically for a particular sport. I really do want to be a strong advocate for exercise,
Yes.
for as part of your life. It can be a lot of different things. It can be yoga, it can be Pilates, it can be dance. There's sort of no end to it. But in my case, running and triathlon really have been wonderful and have really enhanced the quality of my life, and kind of, I think, expanded my horizons at a time when I think for most of us, as we get into our 50s and 60s, our lives can become narrower and smaller. And I don't think it has to be that way.
So you completed the Ironman Arizona twice and the 72-mile Midnight Express Ultra Marathon between the ages of 57 and 61. What do you know now about yourself, about your human body, that your 48-year-old self did not know?
I think a few things. I think I can take a lot of discomfort for a long period of time and still keep moving. And in some ways, that can be a metaphor for life during our tough times. Not to get too down and to just try to keep putting one foot in front of the other, either literally or metaphorically.
Yes.
Keep moving through life. And so for me, that was a revelation. When I did that first 10K, it took me a little bit over an hour.
Yes.
And at the time, that seemed to be a long time to be running. Half marathon was more than twice that. The full marathon, my first one, was over 5 hours, and that seemed like an extraordinary amount of time. But the Midnight Express, that took me nearly 21 hours. And so the notion that I could do those things it was wonderful. It was a wonderful discovery. And again, I just think it causes you to open your mind to, where else am I limiting myself, and what else could I possibly do that I had previously ruled out?
So I have learned also that when we push ourselves beyond our comfort zone, we realize that we can do hard things.
Yes, that is it in a nutshell. That is absolutely it.
That's fascinating. Do you have a different outlook on your family life now, having gone through all of these experiences, especially those different marathons over the years?
I I don't it's funny. For me, a lot of this is about what fulfills me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so I do hope that the folks that I care about will draw some inspiration from this, and perhaps it will help them in making choices that I think will benefit them with respect to fitness. But having said that, I really do strongly believe we're all on our own journeys, and we need to make our own way in the world and
Yes.
make the decisions that work for us, and not just do things good or bad because other people did them and are telling us this is what you ought to do. I think we all have to basically figure this out for ourselves, and hopefully I can be a source of hope and inspiration when it comes to that. But yeah, I think beyond that, I don't look back with regret at not having started earlier. I think
Mm-hmm.
the early years with the kids just were very demanding in terms of time. I couldn't have been training for marathons and Ironman when with four kids under the age of 5.5 at home.
Right.
So we have to get there, I think, in a way that works for us, and I feel good about the process and the way that it played out for me.
Did you encounter any physical injuries while you were doing your trainings?
Yeah, very much so. And I think it's an unfortunate part of distance running that you can get hurt. And fortunately, there are wonderful physical therapists out there and orthopedic surgeons out there. I haven't had to have surgery, but I've had a variety of injuries, and I've learned to be better about feeling one coming on and backing off of my training, and ideally avoiding the injury in the first place. But when I do get hurt, just taking a break from training, following the guidance of a physical therapist, doing rehabilitation, that kind of thing. But it's okay. I think it's very much, from my point of view, a cost of doing business. And again, I think there's some life lessons in that we do sometimes have setbacks. In this case, in the form of injuries that
Yeah.
slow us down, that force us to take a break, and we just need to get comfortable with that kind of thing.
There's a fascinating connection between um, extreme endurance and success in business. Do you find that you were more successful after the endurance or having to go through these training?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. There's a famous business book called Good to Great by Jim Collins, and he basically tracks, I think, 10 companies that were able over time to distinguish themselves, to separate themselves from their competition and become the leaders of their particular industry. And one of the key factors for all of them was something that he calls a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal. So these companies set for themselves this audacious goal to be number one, and that energized them, that focused them, and that really was key to their being able to climb their way to the top. And when I read the book, I thought, you know what? Actually, I think this could work for me and for people generally as individuals. Setting an audacious goal, it focuses you, it energizes you, it gives you the feeling that you're on a journey, which is a wonderful feeling to have. And so again, I really feel like a lot of these things are fungible as between exercise fitness and as between, in this case, business success. There are all these qualities that people in the business world talk about: grit and resilience and recovery from failure. And I don't think there are many better ways than fitness and in my case, racing, to build those qualities, to have those experiences. I think these long races are a great way to put yourself in a situation that's challenging, where there is actually a risk of failure. And I certainly have failed a couple of times, but it's not really consequential. And I think we can be too afraid of failing. And I think
Yeah.
we shouldn't. I think it's okay, as long as we've given it our best effort, and we've learned from the experience, and then try to do better the next time.
What have you learned from racing that you brought into the boardroom?
Um, I think especially longer races, there's just so much preparation that goes into them over a
Ah,
long period of time. I think for
mhm.
the Ironman races, I wasn't even prepared to try an Ironman until I'd been racing for about 7 or 8 years. And then once I made the commitment to a specific race, I had to train in a dedicated way for over a year. Um, and in the work world, I used to always tell people for things that really matter, that are important, they take time,
Yeah.
and that's okay. And so I think we need to be patient. We need to take a long view. We need to keep our eye kind of on the prize, and yet still move ourselves every day and stay consistent every day. But together with that patience, I think we also need a sense of urgency. Like I can't just take days off for no reason whatsoever. I have to recognize that every day counts and every day matters. So I think kind of pairing up those seemingly opposing qualities or approaches, I think is critical, whether in business or in or when it comes to our health.
Your book has won a lot of awards, and some of the awards clearly resonated with a wide audience. When you were writing Racing Against Time, who were you writing it specifically for?
In some ways, I have to say, and it's my third book, and I've always, with all of my books, I've always had this idea, and I didn't come up with this. It's something that I read years ago, but to write the kind of book that I wish someone had actually written for me. Um,
Mm,
and so the kind of book that I would have wanted, that I would want to read. And so
yes.
in many ways, I think I wrote the book for 48-year-old me. It would have been a book that I would have loved reading back then. I think it would have really helped me on my journey. I think it would have gotten me excited, as other books that I read at the time did.
Mhm.
And I think it would have given me some good ideas and some inspiration. And it might have made, some of the really challenging things seem perhaps within reach. And that's hopefully what I can do for other folks who are either in or rapidly approaching middle age and are wondering, what life might yet still have in store for them as they get older.
So you didn't write it for the already fit athlete.
It could be in the sense that, I also still like reading fitness memoirs. I like reading about other people's adventures. And I've had some fun and, some fun, interesting, sometimes disappointing experiences along the way. And so I do think people who are already involved in these kinds of activities in general, we like reading these sorts of books. I think folks like me don't really need persuading, but I think, I think the ones that can most benefit from it are the ones who haven't yet really made that commitment that I need to get serious about my health if I want to live my best life going forward.
Now, for the listener who is in their 50s or 40s, late 40s, 50s, or 60, someone who feels like the window of transformation has long passed, what's your advice for that person?
Um, I just, I think biologically it's just not true. And
Mhm.
I think, there's an incredible woman who lives in DC named Ernestine Shepherd, who took up bodybuilding, I think at age 56. She's now 80. And she's an absolutely extraordinary woman. I encourage your listeners to look for videos about her on YouTube. She's just absolutely remarkable.
What's her name
And
again?
Ernestine Shepherd,
I'm writing it down.
she's just incredible. It's not clear, I think, how far we can go if we first start in our 50s or 60s. Um, but that doesn't matter. I think we can absolutely improve in an incredible way. We
Yeah.
can absolutely change the quality of our life. We can absolutely extend that period of life, our health span, that period of life where we are free of disease, fit and healthy and active.
Yeah.
And I think that's a goal that we should all want to pursue. And, whether it's because we want to be able to hike, to ski, to chase after grandchildren, anything that involves just physical vitality,
Yeah.
we can influence, we can extend if we just take this seriously. And, the goal isn't to become an Olympian, But the goal, I think, is to become, and it sounds like a cliche, but I really believe in it, to become the best version of who we're capable of being.
What's one advice that you can give us that we can take right now after listening to you and incorporate into our lives that will help us live our best life?
I think a practical piece of advice to, I think, help people be successful at making fitness part of their daily experience is from the world of personal finance. They say that if you want to be serious about saving money, you should pay yourself first. So when you get your paycheck, take a portion out for savings or for investment in the stock market, whatever it might be, and do that first before you spend on anything else. And that way you'll always be sure to be prioritizing your personal financial well-being. And I think the same is true when it comes to exercise and fitness. Pay yourself first. And so in my case, and I think for a lot of us, really the best time to exercise is first thing in the morning, when we have most control over our schedule. I think once the day begins, especially if you're working full time, you have less and less control. You may not, a lunch hour that you were counting on for your workout might go away because of something that happens at work, or you might feel exhausted at the end of the day and not able to exercise after work, or maybe there's an emergency there, again there, or with your family, something comes up that takes over. But that first thing in the morning time, I think is fairly magical. And I encourage people to take full advantage of it.
I agree. I work at night, and because of my schedule, I ensure that I work out between 9 and 10. Like, I get home around 8:45, and I make sure that I work out. And it feels so good because even when I don't work, I work a couple of shifts at nights, and then, sometimes I'm home. But even when I don't work at nights, my body knows this is the time to work out. So I may even want to lay in bed a little bit later, but my body is saying, get up, get up, get up. It's almost 9:00. You got to work out. And I find that it energizes me, and it also takes the stress off of me because I know this is workout time. You don't have to worry about it. It just happens. Your body is calling you and reminding you that this is the hour to work out. So
that's it's so great. You've put your finger on something that I neglected to mention, which is if you can turn it into a habit, you take the willpower struggle out of it. It becomes something that you expect to do, that you anticipate doing, that your body craves.
Yeah.
And so, no question, for the first few weeks, perhaps a month, it's challenging, and you're going to have to have that conversation with yourself, or you're going to have to talk yourself into doing it. But But just recognize, just know, just be confident that if you can persist, and not for that long, like literally a month, it will start to become part of your life, a part that you look forward to. I mean, in all the years that I've been doing this now, I'm in my 16th year of endurance sports. I have never once finished a workout and regretted doing that workout.
Me either. Wow, I like that. So, and it doesn't have to be strenuous stuff. If you don't know what to do, just start walking, just move. Because, some people say, well, I can't walk around my neighborhood. Walk in your house, just say yes to yourself, because our goal is to live the best version of ourselves. And there's so much that you can ward off. There's so many different health issues that you can ward off just by incorporating working out every day into your life, like diabetes, heart issues. So many people are struggling with diseases, hypertension, so many things that are easily warded off by exercising on a daily basis. And I give myself weekends off no matter where I am. I feel good. That Saturday and Sundays I'm off. I don't have that pressure. But when it comes to Monday morning and you get back in that gym, it feels so rewarding to say yes at the end of it. During the exercises, I'll be cursing and fighting myself. Like, why am I doing this? But at the end, it feels so good. And another thing is getting dressed up doesn't start with getting into your clothes. It really starts with that working out
Yeah.
every morning or whatever time you choose. But like you said, make it the first thing that you do. And getting dressed up, you feel so good when you're in your, your clothes, and it fits good, and it flows, and you're getting compliments because you invested in working out. So yeah, I love that. Exercise first, pay yourself first, exercise first.
Yeah, and I think too, and I think you're right. I mean, I couldn't agree more, actually. I think that when you feel good about yourself and about your body, it just gives you a level of confidence in any setting,
Yeah.
in your business setting, socially, and that's a wonderful thing. I think it's also, I totally agree with you as well. Like, just move. Start with walking if there's
Yeah.
nothing else available to you. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And
Yes.
so if you're just
Ooh.
getting started, at least do something that's going to move you forward, that's going to help you. And then, over time, you can try to do more. You can try to do things that are more demanding, or not. But it's important to get started and not to, And I think too, a lot of people, it's important to be fit, and it's important also to eat well and eat properly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do think it's important to separate those two things. In other words, I've heard a lot of people over the years say, I'm going to start to exercise after I've lost the weight that I need to lose. And I don't think you should let your fitness be held hostage by issues with food. Do the two separately. You can be overweight and still be fit and improve that aspect of your health. And that's very, very important. So I would pursue both ideally, but don't let the one be hostage to the other.
Yes, because you're so right. It's in just starting that you will get to improve all the other areas. Just like when you started with your endurance and your running, you didn't know that it was going to seep into your business, did you?
No, not at all. And I didn't know that I would take it as far as I ended up taking it. And if you told me at the beginning, I wouldn't have believed it. And or I would have thought, well, it's not actually what I want to do. That just seems unpleasant, and it's not what I'm looking for. But over time, your desires evolve in a positive way. And I think it's an exciting discovery.
Why should we read Racing Against Time?
Um, Hopefully it will provide some motivation for folks who might need some motivation to get started, to
Mhm.
realize. I think part of why I wrote it too is I'm not a gifted athlete. I'm not an especially fast runner. I'm not a fast triathlete. I'm not one of these people who just tries running for the first time in their 40s or 50s. And these folks exist, and discover, oh my God, like I'm so suited for this. And their very first marathon, they qualify for the Boston Marathon, which is an extraordinary accomplishment. And I think those people are amazing, and I love their stories. But I also think they may not be relatable to most of us.
Mhm.
I hope mine will be relatable because I think, I'm not especially suited to these kinds of things, and yet have gotten so much satisfaction and pleasure and enjoyment out of doing them. And I think others can as well.
Where can we get your book?
I think the best, easiest way to do it is Amazon. It's available in paperback, a Kindle version, and also an audiobook.
Excellent. And before you go, I like to ask these three questions to my guests, and you're not going to get away from it. So, if your book, Racing Against Time, could be summed up in one sentence for someone who has never heard of it before, what would that sentence be?
Um, be bold about your fitness.
That's right. Be bold about your fitness, and that means to do it first. Start first.
Start first, push yourself a little bit at the beginning, and it's going to take a little push at the beginning, and challenge yourself, and don't take the easy way out, and don't turn back over in bed and go back to sleep when you know you need to be moving.
What's one bold promise that you can share with the audience?
If you do it, you will see results. And I'm not talking about results 5, 10, 20 years down the road, which will come as well. You'll
Mhm.
see results in a matter of in a matter of months, if not sooner.
Yeah, I agree. What's a bold statement that may cause a paradigm shift?
You have more than enough hours in the day to integrate this into your life.
Absolutely. If it's important, if what you're saying is you want to live the best version of yourself, and that's most of us, then you can carve out the time. I remember when I used to work, I needed to leave my house at 6 a.m. to be at work for 7. And my sister-in-law lives in Virginia. We used to get on, it wasn't Zoom at the time. I forgot what it was, but it was another way of getting on. What is that thing called again? Anyway, we used to get on at 4 o'clock in the morning to work out. Yeah. So she would call at 4 o'clock, and by 4:15 we were on that streaming thing together. And another friend of hers lived in Jersey. So 3 or 4 of us would get on in the mornings between 4:15 and 5:15, just so that I can leave my house at 6 o'clock. So you also need people, accountability partners, people to do it with you if you can't do it by yourself. Because at 4 o'clock in the morning, I didn't think I could do it, but she was like, if that's the only time you have, I'll get up, we'll do it.
Wow, she sounds amazing, by the way.
Oh my God, she is.
And look, I think if you can integrate community into your fitness, so much the better, because that social piece is so important as well to our well-being.
Yes.
And it's accountability, and it makes you more likely to continue.
Yeah, that was the best year of my physical fitness life, because I remember we did that every morning, 5 days a week. And one of the girls in the group, she was a fitness trainer in the Army. Okay. So she had us doing things with our bodies that just brought out the best. I looked so lean. And I remember walking into the hospital one day, and one of the dietitians says, oh my God, you have no fat on you. You're just all lean. And I was like, what? But, just because I invested that time or made the sacrifice to invest that time. So guys, no matter what time of the day it is, as long as you commit to that time and make it a priority, you'll get to your fitness goal. Now, what's a bold move that you would like to make in the future?
I think for me, I'd like to do another long triathlon. I did a half Ironman in 2022 or 3. And I'm about to turn 64 next month. But I realize, and I had thought I might be done with the longer triathlons, but I realized actually I want to have another adventure of that kind in my 60s. So that's something that I really intend to try to get back to.
You look amazing. Guys, for those of you who are just listening, you're missing out. Go catch it on YouTube, because he looks amazing. You do not look anywhere near 50. Okay? You look amazing. Keep it up. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. I think Zoom may be kind to me.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing. This has been a wonderful conversation. I hope you come back and share about your other books. But really, guys, go out there and support our authors. We are not just up here just to tell you a story. We want you to make a difference in your life, but we also would love for you to show your support by getting the book and then sharing the message amongst your friends and relatives. So please go out there and get Racing Against Time by Jeff Weiss.
Thanks so much for having me. I can't tell you how much I enjoyed speaking with you. It's been wonderful.
Please come back again. For those of you who are listening and you have a great idea to write your book, and you may be feeling stuck, or you may be feeling confused or overwhelmed, we have a writing class on Sundays and Wednesdays, and you can join us, and we'll help you get your book idea out of your head and onto paper. Thank you so much for joining us again, Jeff. I really appreciate our conversation, and good luck with your next marathon.
Thanks so much. This has been great, and best of luck to you as well.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for the Bold Book of the Day with Dr. Denise Nicholson. a central hub and a safe space for authors to share their stories. Follow Dr. Denise on Facebook and Instagram at Denise Nicholson, or go to denisenicholson.com. Remember, no one can share your story better than you.